reflection video. These four numbers right here. Let's jump into these right away. Now I do apologize for these being incorrect on the other homework assignment. So we're going to look at these now and show you what's going on with these. Okay, now I did not explain this well during the teaching video, and for this I apologize. However, I am now going to explain this very well, so I need you to listen and pay close attention. Okay, so here we go. First of all, I mentioned to you that when you have a negative directly to an x, for example, like this, pay close attention. I'm not going to go over this again, okay? If I had a negative sign directly with the x, it would look like this. Okay? Just forget this problem for a second. We're not talking about this right now, okay? Now, do you see the difference? And so I explained that very well. And when you have this situation right here, this is a reflection. You should have all this in your notes. This is a reflection in the y-axis. Okay? Now, having said that, here's what I did not show you, and I really, really, really need to show you this, okay? And for this, I apologize. If you're going to put a negative directly to the x, like we did here, okay, now listen carefully, and there's a number already inside there, the negative has to go to both terms. Relax, let me show you what I mean, okay, watch this. If I have x plus 5 inside of here, and I want to put a negative here to reflect it, that negative has to go all the way through the parentheses, so it'll look like this. Like that, okay? Now, I'm going to explain this well, but it's still confusing, but listen to me carefully. So if you looked at this right here, come on guys, give me all your attention. When you look at this right here, and you see this negative sign, you would think that is a 5-unit shift to the right. Remember, a negative means to the right. It's kind of the opposite, and a positive 5 means shift to the left. But that's not correct, because there's this negative sign here affected this. So here is what I need you to do. Anytime you have a negative applied directly to the x, like here and like here, if there's more than one term, now up here there is only one term, but if there's more than one term, you have to factor out the negative sign. Okay? So it would look like this. You must factor out the negative sign. Now let's stop and look. If I took this negative and multiplied it back through, I would get this. Negative times a positive is negative. Negative times a positive is negative. And now that you've pulled this negative out here, it shows, yes, we have a reflection in the y-axis, and we have a positive here, so we have a shift to the left 5 units. Oh, Mr. Earhart, I'm a little confused, okay? It's my job as a teacher to really just hopefully take away the confusion and be very accurate with what I want to say. It's really simple. From now on, if I ask you to write an equation or graph an equation, and there's a negative sign directly to the x, and there's more than one term, you're going to have to factor out the x. Okay? Let me say that again. Some of you might be writing that sentence down. If you're going to, if you have a negative applied directly to the x inside the parentheses, or if it's like a square root, and it's directly to the x, something like this, you're going to have to factor the negative out of a parentheses. Now, I'm going to help you do that over the next 4 problems, okay? But that's what I wanted to show you, so relax. Let's just take a look at these and see if it doesn't make some sense. Okay, now, the directions for 26 say to, I'm not even remotely on the right page, so let me get to the right page here. I'm not even in the right book here. I'm kidding. Alright, let's see here, page 98. Okay, the directions say to describe the transformation, and then sketch the graph notice you have a negative applied inside the absolute values directly to the x. So I just told you when that happens, and when you have more than one term, you have to factor out the negative. So put the absolute values, excuse me, put the negative sign here, and then put parentheses, okay? Now, that's going to make the x become positive and the 3 become negative. Now, check your work real quick. Multiply negative times the positive is negative. Negative times the negative is positive, so we're good. When you take this negative and multiply it through, you get what you started with, so we're good. Now we're ready to describe the shift, or the transformation. This negative sign here is applied directly to the x, and so it's going to be a reflection in the y-axis. So write that down as number 1. Number 2, we're going to have a shift. Now see, it was positive, but now the 3 is negative. That's important. It's going to be a shift opposite of negative to the right. So we're going to have a right shift 3 units. Okay? And then we have a positive 9, so it's going to go up 9 units. So let's get after it, guys. Here we go. Alright. Now the standard absolute value graph, I'll do it in red, is here, and then here, and then here. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. I went a little extra there. There we go. So there's the standard absolute value graph of this right here. Now, first of all, we reflect it in the y-axis. Well, guys, if you do that, nothing changes. Do you not see that? If you reflect this in the y-axis, it's just going to flip. It's just going to flip around the y-axis. So this will go over here, and this will go over here. So nothing changes. Now we're going to go to the right 3 units. So let's move this thing over to the right. Take this point here. Go over to the right 3. And we're going to go up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's the vertex right there. And then of course we go over 3. 1, 2, 3, up 9. It's going to be right here. And then this point here, over 3, 1, 2, 3, and then up 9 right there. Of course, the other point would be right here, and the other point would be right here. There you go. I took each point, each of these points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I moved them to the right and up 9. And that is the correct answer, and that's the answer in the back of the book, okay? Alright, now, number 29. Look at this, guys. Now, I first of all want to encourage you to write this a little differently. I would put negative x plus 7. I will put the negative x first, and the positive 7 second under the radical. Of course, the negative 2 is not under the radical. That's out here, okay? Now, here's what I need you to notice. You should see right away. Now, let me stop and say this. If there's a negative sign out here, that's no big deal. That does not affect this term here. Got it? If there's a negative sign here, that's not applied directly to the x, and that would be a reflection in the x-axis. However, this negative is applied directly to the x, and we have more than one term inside here, don't we? Sure we do. So that's when you have to factor out the negative sign. Let me give those 2 scenarios again. When you have a negative applied directly to the x, and there's more than one term inside that group there, whether it be a squared group or an absolute value or a square root or whatever, you have to factor out the negative sign. So I would encourage you to rewrite this like this. Negative parentheses. Your negative x becomes positive. Your positive 7 becomes negative. Then write down your negative 2. Now, multiply this through. Negative times the positive is negative. Negative times the negative is positive. Everything's good. So now here's what I have. I have a reflection. There's a negative being applied directly to the x inside this group. So that's a reflection in the y-axis. Okay? Secondly, I've got negative 7. That's The opposite of negative is to the right, so we're going to go right 7. And we have a negative 2. We're going to go down 2. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Give some room to work. The standard square root function looks like this. And it would be about right here. Being a little sloppy here, but that's okay. It would be at 0, 0, and then 1, 1, and then over 4 and up 2, and then over 3, or over 9, and up 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then up 3. So it would look something like this. Remember, square root graphs do not go in both directions. There's an arrow on one end. There. Now we're going to take this and we're going to reflect it in the y-axis. So now it's going to come over here and look like this. Okay? So this point here, of course, you really can't reflect that. It'll stay there. I'm going to color this black. I'm moving this point right now. Okay? I'm moving that point right there. If I reflect that in the y-axis, it doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. Then right 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then down 2. 1, 2. Okay, now this point right here. Now I'm going to deal with this point. Okay, if I reflected it in the y-axis, it would go from here to here, and then go right 7 from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then down 2. 1, 2. So there it is, right there, perfectly drawn. If I do say so myself. Okay, now this point. Alright, that's over 4, so if I reflect it in the y-axis, it'll be over here. Right there, that's where it would be. Okay, it would flip over to here, and then go right 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so right there, and then down 2, 1, 2, so right there. And then one more point, it's right here. That point's all the way over 9 and up 3, so if I flipped it, it'd be over 9, 7, 8, 9, and then up 3, so it'd be right here. And then of course, I've got to go right 7, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so put a slash, there we go, slash, so right here, so go right 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so right here, and then down 2, 1, we were right here, 3, so 1, 2, there we go. So start here and go like this. And there it is. That is the graph. That is where it's supposed to be. And this description is correct. That's it, guys. That's how you do it, okay? Alright, now let's go backwards. Now they want us to write the equation, okay? They want us to write the equation, so so here we go. We're going to start off with f of x equals x cubed, alright? Now, we're going to move it 6 units to the left, 6 units downward, and reflect it in the y-axis. Reflect it in the y-axis. Okay, so here we go. First of all, I'm going to start with my reflections like I did before, okay, over here. It's going to be reflected in the y-axis. So I know I'm going to apply a negative inside the parentheses. Everybody got that? There's going to be a negative inside the parentheses, okay? Now, remember, here's where it gets really tricky. Remember what I've taught you. If you're going to put a negative inside the parentheses, it must go to both terms. It must go to both terms. So right now, inside here, we have an x, and it's supposed to go 6 units to the left. So that means you're going to put x. Now to the left, you would think is negative, but with horizontal shifts, it's the opposite. So 6 units to the left, I'm going to put plus 6. Now that's pretty standard. I'm going to get rid of this negative for a second. Okay, in fact, I'm going to do this. Don't get mad at me. Just listen. Let's talk about the reflection a little bit later. Sorry about that. I think you'll understand it better this way. Let's look at it like this. We're moving 6 units to the left. So that's going to be x plus 6. Got it? And then 6 units downwards, I put what right here? Negative 6. And then a reflection in the y-axis means I want to apply a negative directly to the x. But I just taught you guys when you do that, you must do it to everything inside of here. That's what we were just talking about over here. That's why the negative sign was pulled out, because that negative had to go to everything. Okay? So, the negative has to go to both terms. Okay? So when I put that negative in, my x becomes what? Negative, and my 6 becomes what? Negative, and that's your final answer. Now, the answer key disagrees with me a little bit. They have this positive, but I'm going to tell you something. I do not disagree with them. I strongly disagree with them, because if you were to graph this right here, you would not get a graph that they described. However, if you graph my graph, this one, you will get what they described. Now, you're supposed to do reflections first and then do your shifts, okay? And they're kind of doing it backwards, and that's just not right. So this is the right way to do it. You start off with by saying 6 units to the left. So you put x plus 6, and then 6 units down, minus 6, and then apply your negative to the inside, and you're good. And that's your answer. Let's try one more. 37. Alright, we're going to start off with this function right here, the square root function. Okay? We're going to move it 6 units to the left, and we're going to reflect it in both the x and y axis, okay? So first of all, let's take care of our 6 units to the left. If it's going to be 6 units to the left, you would think that's negative, but it's positive. So there we go. You guys would all agree with me that that right there is a shift. 6 units to the left. Got it? Okay. Now, next, we're going to reflect it in the x-axis. Now, if you reflect something in the x-axis, you apply the negative to the outside. So it would look like this now. Negative. Got it? And then it says we're going to also have a reflection in the y-axis. Well, that means we're going to apply the negative directly to the x. However, if we do that, we must do it to everything inside the radical. So your final answer would be your positive x becomes negative, and your positive 6 becomes negative. If this would have been a negative 6, then it would become positive down here. Okay? And that's it, guys. I hope that helps. I do apologize for any confusion on the homework. And